when we knew very little and at potentially great risks to themselves and others in their family. On October 20th, the Chicago Fire Department put Scott Troogstad on no pay status, which means he can't work until he complied with the vax mandate.
Right.
That meant a monthly paycheck loss of around $8,000 as a Chicago Fire Department captain, a potential loss of his health insurance. His wife has health issues and relies on monthly medication costing $5,000. He also supports 2 children, a son in college and a daughter in high school. But he said of his decision, his family's decision, "My wife, I, and my kids are on the same team. I believe the moment we stand in is bigger than anything for us personally." Scott Troogstad joins us now, along with his attorney, Jonathan Lubin. Chicago Fire Department Captain Scott Troogstad, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. As well as Counselor Lubin. Appreciate it.
Hey, Dan. Amy, how are you guys?
Morning. So,
Hey, Jonathan. Sorry.
Tell us.
How you doing?
Yeah, well, your attorney's
You two
here,
are
so
close, yes.
this is a safe space. So tell us, about the thinking that went into that decision and where things are now 6 weeks later.
Yeah, just philosophically, I've always been at this point. To me, whatever personal, it kind of funny sidebar is today happens to be my 22nd anniversary on the job. So I get to celebrate December 1st, talking to you guys. So that's cool. Philosophically, like I said, I've always been in the same place. There's lines that can't be crossed, and we've mitigated risk throughout this entire thing. We've watched a lot of our guys get sick. The first guy that died on the Chicago Fire Department was a good friend of mine. We've seen how it works in the firehouse. We've seen how it works in the community. I myself have had it and treated appropriately with the right early treatment protocols. And it's just something that there's no way that morally I could capitulate to any portion of this thing. Well, and yeah, go ahead.
No, Scott, did you get COVID on the job, do you believe? I mean, it's hard to predict or find out where you got it.
No, I'm pretty sure that I got it through somebody I know that we'll call patient 0. But it's like I said, I got whacked with it pretty good for a few days, treated it appropriately, made it through just fine,
And so where are you and your family at now, 6 weeks since you've been put on no pay status?
We're getting by. I mean, it's obviously extremely stressful. I'm doing some work on the side, wherever I can pick it up. It's difficult. I'm not gonna lie about that. Obviously, it's been a very stressful situation the entire time. People have been incredibly supportive and generous. Obviously, you read that Epoch Times article. We had a lot of people contact, about donations, and that's not something I've ever been comfortable with. So we've been sending people to ignite the spirit where it can be apportioned amongst everybody that's in this situation. But it is what it is. I mean, I'm going to continue to look at other alternatives and hope that there's a legal remedy in this, because obviously I don't want to give up my career. I mean, this has been an incredible career. This is a vocation that I absolutely adore. You could speak with anybody that I've worked with for or as an officer. They'll speak to my dedication on this job, and I think that I still have a ton to give the Chicago Fire Department and the City of Chicago. I'm sorry.
But before we get to the legal case, what was the representation of the firefighters union like for you and others on this?
You know what? I'm not going to speak a lot to that because there's been a lot of contention on the subject, so I think it's best that I kind of avoid that subject right now. But
okay.
Let me just say that I was a bit more than disappointed.
Mm-hmm. So, Jonathan, maybe the attorney here, give us the broad outlines of the legal case that Scott has here, what you're attempting to do in terms of a legal remedy.
Sure thing. The legal case is, and you can find the complaint, it's long, but it's mostly long because there's so many names on it. But the basic case is that these folks have a substantive due process right not to be forced to vaccinate, not to violate their bodily autonomy. And there's more to it than that, but that's the, if you want it in one sentence, that's it. And whenever you talk to folks about this who look at it askance, they always will mention Jacobson, which is this 1905 Supreme Court decision, and it's never been explicitly overruled. That's for sure true, and it's been cited a bunch of times since this pandemic started. But Roe versus Wade, and then later Casey versus Planned Parenthood, two Supreme Court decisions that basically said, and in the case of Casey, it says it explicitly. It says it as clear as day, that every now and then you have a right which is so fundamental, and one of those is bodily autonomy, that it outweighs even the possibility of death. In that case, talking about abortion. But here, when people go on and on and on and on, if you don't vaccinate, you could be killing people, which scientifically is ridiculous. But let's pretend that it wasn't. If you don't vaccinate, you could be killing people. Well, there is a right in the Constitution that overcomes that concern, fake though it may be.
Well, you have to be encouraged by some of the recent federal district court actions to enjoin the vax mandates for healthcare workers, the vax mandates for federal contractors, the vax mandates for employers with more than 100 employees. Those would seem to, buttress your case, at least in spirit.
Absolutely. In spirit, yes. Absolutely. I've been very encouraged by them. There's some good people out there fighting the good fight. A lot of those cases have to do with separation of powers issues that are somewhat existing here, but not to the same extent. But definitely, I've been very encouraged by a lot of the decisions, and I've been encouraged by some of the decisions that went out of their way to discuss vaccine efficacy and discuss the safety of vaccines, which is something that courts in general, any court that wants to deny a petition, to strike or at least to enjoin a mandate, has kind of avoided that question. But it is a question of whether vaccines are efficacious, whether getting a vaccine is going to prevent you from getting COVID. I mean, I'm sure you've heard this story 1,000 times, but I got COVID from a buddy of mine who was vaccinated, and he got it from a buddy of his who was vaccinated. So it's not a panacea, and getting a vaccine isn't going to stop you from getting COVID or giving it to someone else potentially.
Have you thought about, just moving stakes, just moving to a different state and starting over again?
I assume you're talking to Scott.
Yes, Scott.
Or Jonathan.
You, or
Everybody in
John,
Illinois is doing it. So.
Come on, Jonathan. We'll go start somewhere new.
Let's do it, man. Kentucky seems nice this time of year.
Yeah.
Oh, how about it, man? Right? They'll be your neighbor. At this time we're kind of stuck here. But believe me, if my career has somehow fizzled because of all this, every tax dollar that I pay to the city of Chicago is going to infuriate me. So I'll be looking to leave ASAP. But, like I said, we still got a daughter in high school that we want to try and get through. We have an aged family members that need, attendance in their current place. So there's things that are going to wind up tying us here for a while. But, yes, absolutely, that's part of the plan. I mean, just like millions of other Illinoisans, they can't wait to pull smoke and leave this place, thanks to the the good folks running it. So,
well, here's the thing, too, that I would think would provide great support for your cause and your case is just what you said at the outset, that you got the infection and you recovered. And with the mountain of evidence that's growing with each passing day, that natural immunity, being infected and having recovered, is provides more protection than do the vaccines. It would seem to me that the vaccinated should, or those who've recovered should be treated at least as fairly as the vaccinated when it comes to employment, based on the medicine, based on the science.
No, I'm going to jump in and let Scott. Well,
please do.
Go ahead. All I was going to say is what you hit it right on the nail right there. If this was about public health, if this is about promoting public health, that would be the policy. Or maybe that wouldn't be the policy. Maybe it would be a different, similar policy. But that would be the policy. It would take science into consideration. This isn't about public health. It's about compliance. And if you look around and you see, where the world is in some other places, Australia, Germany, Austria, some of these places where, I thank God every morning I don't live there. But that's where we're heading if we don't stand up and say, no, enough is enough. We're drawing the line. Let's make some science-based policies, or let people figure out how to protect their own lives, which in general is what we've all done. Anyway, go ahead, Scott. I'm sorry for jumping on my soapbox.
No, you're absolutely on point. You spoke to exactly what I wanted to say. The science. We've been hearing about science for almost 2 years, right? We're beat to death over the head with it. But anytime something is in conflict, that's no longer science. That's pseudoscience or it's conspiracy theory, something like that. We're at a point where we have to stop denying what's in front of our faces. Anybody that looks at this objectively can see that there's something going on here a bit more than what the official narrative is. And we have to acknowledge that because, like Jonathan just said, we look at other places in the country, or in the world rather, that have authoritarian lockdowns happening. Let's not pretend that this hasn't happened in history before, right? We have a body of evidence. Oh, Dolce, no.
Excuse me, I'm clearing my throat. Yeah, that's me. No.
So anyway, like I said, and it all goes back to my initial point. There's nothing that you can do to force me and probably around the world, hundreds of millions of people to put something in their body that they are not. I mean, this is medical rape is what it is. I simply will not comply with it, and it's that easy, really. So,
well, have you talked to because there's 33 police officers who are unpaid leave right now. I'm not sure the amount of firefighters. Have you spoken with each other? Are you forming a solidarity, helping each other out?
Yeah, to some degree. I mean, it's kind of been fragmented over, after they actually started putting people on a no-pay deal. We were, I would say, a pretty unified front. And then there was people that started getting put on no pay, and a lot of people kind of, okay, well, this ain't the hill to die on. We'll wait till the 31st when the mandate goes hot. And, our contention, the guys obviously that are on, and gals that are on no pay, has been no, the time to fight this thing was at every level. I can't acknowledge any of it, because acknowledging any of it means that I'm capitulating to it, and that's not what I will do. So
I assume the opinions in the firehouse among your colleagues run the gamut, as they do in larger society. And so I wonder what you're hearing from the guys and gals that you talk to, you still stay in contact with, who, for whatever reason chose to comply, and maybe are enthusiastic about the compliance. But what's the feedback that you're receiving?
Yeah, for me personally, like I said, there's been a ton of support. I'm a pretty generally well-liked guy on the job. I know a lot of really good people. They've been incredibly supportive. Obviously, they want me to come back and not. And it's funny because we'll have this conversation. I'll say, well, if I come back now, that's just going to mean the 31st when they force everybody to be vaccinated or get exemptions, which, to the best of my knowledge, they haven't been giving out. Now I got to deal with on the 31st. No, I put my line in the sand. That will not be crossed, and that's been my position. Now, like I said, the guys that know me, guys and girls that know me, they know where I stand. I've been very vocal about this my entire career. It's just who I am as a person, and there's been an incredible amount of support. But the department morale is shot right now. We got this thing looming over everybody's head. It's put everybody in a ridiculous, stressful environment. I mean, what's been going on with people's families? I mean, you can imagine, and and I'm not looking for some sob story. I mean, this is the same experience that people all over the country, all over the world are having, and it's not right. I mean, you can't continue to do this to people. But if people just roll over, like I said, you're going to end up with a much larger problem than you have in dealing with a bit of personal sacrifice in the moment.
All right. He is Scott Troogstad. He is a Chicago Fire Department captain. Scott, sorry, my dog is not as well trained as I'm sure your firehouse dog is. And his attorney is Jonathan Lubin. Scott and Jonathan, thanks for joining us, and good luck with your case. Appreciate it.
Dan, Amy, thank you very much. Day.
Thanks, you
Jonathan,
too.
Thanks, brother. Take care, guys.
All right, you two, and they both joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper, hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
If you're looking to purchase a new home or refinance your existing home, you need to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender. Tom, retired. Social Security income, 30 grand. With over $2 million in retirement assets in the bank. Tom contacted 3 banks to refinance and purchase a second home in Florida, and they all told him he didn't qualify. So he called Team Hochberg. We helped Tom refinance and purchase a new home in Florida with an asset depletion loan based off his retirement assets. Let's review. Before calling, Tom was told by 3 banks he couldn't refinance or purchase a new home. After calling Team Hochberg, Tom refinanced his current home and purchased a new home in Florida. Team Hochberg has helped thousands of radio listeners use their retirement assets to refinance their existing homes and purchase new homes, like we helped Tom. But we can't help if you don't call 855-56-DAVID or visit 56david.com. That's 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. Homeside Financial, Equal Housing Lender, and NMLS 1124061.
Hey, I have some information to share that's relevant for many of you. Do you own a term life insurance policy? If so, you might be able to convert all or part of your own term life policy into a permanent plan that could give you a level premiums for life without any health questions or medical exam. It's easy to see if you're eligible and or the consultation is free. Just call the Life Quotes helpline at 800-640-5433. Rates on term life insurance stay low for only a certain period of time, folks. Then they skyrocket up. What does it mean to convert a life insurance policy, you might ask? Well, conversion is a feature found in most term life policies. Conversions give you the right to convert your term life plan into a more permanent plan of insurance with level premiums without any medical questions. Call the Life Quotes Help Center now at 800-460-5433, 800-640-5433.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million